A young heiress on a dream honeymoon, surrounded by enemies on a luxury cruise down the Nile. Can the world's most famous detective solve her murder before it's too late? All this can only mean one thing. We're comparing Death on the Nile, 1978, and 2022 on this episode of Retro vs. Remake. I'm Reggie Parker.
And I'm Dan Buick. Welcome to another episode of Retro vs. Remake. This is the series where we compare movies and their remakes. Join us as we answer the question, should this remake exist? Today's films, as Reggie said, are Death on the Nile. Reggie.
Yeah, going right into it, Dan. Death on the Nile, 1978, starring Peter Ustinov, Jane Birkin, Louis Childs, Betty Davis, Mia Farrow, John Finch, Olivia Hussey, George Kennedy, Angela Lansbury, Simon Matt Corkindale, and David Niven.
David Niven.
Yeah, alumni. Directed by John Guillermin, screenplay by Anthony Schaefer, music by Nino Rota. Death on the Nile 2022, starring Kenneth Branagh, Gal Gadot, Tom Bateman, Annette Bening, Russell Brand, Ali Fazell, Dawn French, Armie Hammer, Rose Leslie, Emma Mackey, Sophie Okonedo, Jennifer Saunders, and Letitia Wright. Directed by Kenneth Branagh, screenplay by Michael Green, with music by Patrick Doyle. Both of these films are based on Agatha Christie's 1937 novel of the same name. Dan, what is your first experience with these films?
Well, my first experience with the source material is from reading the book. I'll start with that. But it has been years since I've read it, so I don't remember how accurate these movies are. But as far as the films go, I saw the remake in theaters, actually before you suggested it.
Okay.
And I hadn't seen the original. So this is one of the few instances where I've seen the remake first.
Right.
And then I'm going back to the original, and I wasn't going to pay for another movie ticket, so I just got to go from what I remember there. So yeah, I'm just watching these films recently for this podcast.
That makes sense. Yeah, pretty much the same thing for me. I was reading Death on the Nile in anticipation for the movie coming out, so I finished that before the film, saw the film, and then same as you, watched the original later. And it's most likely because it's really hard to find the original.
Very hard. I had so much trouble. I had to ask to log into your account because I was willing to pay. I always rent my movies, and I'm always paying for them, but I couldn't find anywhere to stream this movie.
I was looking all over the place, and then finally found out the Criterion channel had it.
Yeah, so, you know the Criterion channel, everybody, right?
Yeah, everyone's got that one. Smart TV. So, but hey, we found it, and we got to watch them all pretty recently.
Yeah, cool.
All right. I'm just going into it. I did a synopsis. Even though the films have like the same framework, basically, I did kind of cut the synopsis short so that we could kind of explore the characters more. Mm-hmm. So we don't actually solve the mystery in my synopsis. Lynette Ridgway is a young heiress who has it all. Looks, wealth, and the world at her feet. Her close friend Jacqueline de Belfort asks Lynette to hire her unemployed fiancé, Simon Doyle. Jackie's pleased when Lynette agrees, but Lynette and Simon soon start a whirlwind affair and get married. While honeymooning in Egypt, they are continually hounded by the jilted Jackie. To escape her, the couple board the luxury cruise ship SS Karnak. This plan falls apart as not only is Jackie on the ship, but so are many guests with motivation to harm Lynette. Fortunately for her, the world's greatest detective, Hercule Poirot, is aboard as well. At night, Jackie confronts Simon in a drunken rage and shoots him in the leg. The next morning, Lynette is found dead from a gunshot wound to the head. At J is written in blood on the wall above her bed. Hercule Poirot must solve this crime quickly as even more guests start dying. Each respective film has Hercule Poirot work with a friend or an ally on board the ship to interrogate the passengers and solve the mysterious case of the death on the Nile. Yeah, so.
Cool. Leave everybody in suspense as they don't know how the murder happened.
Yeah, we leave some mystery, I guess, plausibly for you, but I'm sure we're going to break that up when we start talking about these characters. I think anytime you talk about a movie with the world famous Hercule Poirot, as written by Agatha Christie, I think you got to start with that character. So,
Of course.
in 1978, we had Peter Ustinov, who I really don't know that well.
Yeah, I wasn't familiar with him at all.
At all. But he plays Hercule Poirot in the 78 film.
Brilliant detective of all time, Hercule Poirot.
And in the remake, we have Kenneth Branagh reprising his role as Hercule Poirot, the renowned detective.
The murderer is here and will stay here.
Yeah, just kind of going back to what we were saying about Ustinov. No clue who that is.
Yeah, no clue who that is. Never heard of him. And first impressions of him as Poirot, I didn't think that was Poirot.
I was in the same boat. I was like, this does not feel like
No,
Hercule Poirot.
not at all. He does not look the way you'd expect Poirot to look at all. He looks just like a regular dude.
Yeah.
And he's pretty boring because of it. It's so hard to see Hercule Poirot. I mean, going back to the previous movie, I know we're doing that, but Murder on the Orient Express, we still had Kenneth Branagh on the remake, but we had Albert Finney as Poirot, and he looked like Poirot. He had a weird looking mustache.
Yep.
He had just a weird shape about him. The clothes he wore even just stood out more.
Yeah.
This Hercule Poirot, his mustache, very disappointing.
Yeah,
You're going to be disappointed.
Small stash.
Small stash. Like, you guys, he just looks like a normal dude. It's so weird.
I think you're right. Like, no matter what you feel about Albert Finney's like over the top portrayal, you're right. You immediately know, okay, that's Hercule Poirot. Like the way he's introduced and shot, you're like, okay, that is our main character. When Ustinov shows up on screen, I'm like, is David Niven?
That's who I was like, oh, Niven's gonna be Poirot.
Yeah, I was thinking
awesome.
that. I was thinking that. And, Poirot comes to the screen, there's like no fanfare. It's like, hey, it's my old friend Hercule. I think last time I saw you was some random mystery from the past, but there was no big intro. He just kind of walks on screen, shakes Niven's hands, and then like we're in the story. Just very underwhelming.
Very underwhelming. Not only like this is introduction and like I said his look, but like even like his mannerisms and just the way he acts. He doesn't have that weird quirk. I guess Poirot had kind of that weird. I'm very particular about like the way I do things and say things, and like sometimes when I talk to you, it's gonna sound weird because I'm a weird dude. But I didn't really get that from the.
I mean, I think they tried to play the humor more, and it never felt until maybe towards the end. It never felt like he was really analyzing anything.
Right.
It just kind of seemed to be kind of a smartass, really, and not necessarily like the smartest guy in the room.
Right.
Like. Throughout the entire film, there's a running joke because Poirot is Belgian, and people keep calling him different, like, what, ethnicities or nationalities?
Mostly French. Mostly French.
French. There was one German in there, which is like, no one thinks that. But yeah, I don't know, like, how many times can you run the joke that I'm actually Belgian, Like,
they do a lot, apparently, as an answer.
Sure, it happens too much. I'm with you. I never really thought that this guy was like a genius detective and world famous. He just felt like some guy.
Yeah. And we both read the books.
Right.
So it's like, even as a reader of the book, you're like, well, that's not even close
Exactly.
to how Poirot should look or act. It's a bizarre choice. And I heard that Albert Finney didn't want to come back because the whole cosmetic and all the makeup stuff was just a lot of work to do. I guess when Peter came on board, they were just like, okay, you don't have to do anything.
Yeah.
Like, what the... That's so boring.
What's a shame about that, too, is, when you're looking at even Murder on the Orient Express, both films, they're like all-star casts. Like, everyone's kind of somebody. And, like, I no shade to Ustinov. I've, like, never heard of this guy. And when you're on screen with, like, Mia Farrow, Betty Davis, and Angela Lansbury, it's like, you'd think the main guy would be, someone we know. And no.
Yeah. It's a bold move to kind of cast your central character, your hero, as like with a nobody. It works.
Yeah.
But usually when it's a nobody, they're able to kind of make it their own.
Right.
He just felt like a regular dude. He did not feel like Poirot.
Nah. Just maybe the accent. That's about it. So, yeah, so as the movie went on, I think he caught his stride, and I liked when he was doing more of the analytical stuff and like accusing people. I think those scenes worked well because I think he had more one-on-one character work.
Yeah.
But just outright didn't feel like Poirot.
Right. Kind of his normal interactions with people when he's not being a detective were pretty tame.
Yeah.
Compared to like this quirky guy who's everybody's gonna be like, that's weird.
Yeah.
They just call him French all the time. That's it.
doesn't yeah. Like you said, interesting choice. I'll say the same thing for Remake. It's really bold.
A very interesting choice what they did with him here too. Yeah.
To give backstory to a character who really never had it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like Agatha Christie really just kind of let Poirot do his thing. You knew where he was from and you knew he was famous mostly. But we get introduced to this film in a World War I sort of campaign fight. I don't know, skirmish.
Yeah, it was something.
Yeah, but like there's a scene where Poirot's combat unit they're basically going on a suicide mission and there's no chance of success. But Poirot's able to look. The wind, it blows this way. That gives us time to... And he comes up with this whole plan, and they're able to get the jump on, the Germans or something?
Sure, yeah. Everybody's fighting the Germans in one of these world wars.
Probably the Germans. And, they win a fight. So it's cool because you get to see kind of Poirot using his mental acuity, even in the past. But I guess... these scenes are supposed to be humanizing because Poirot's captain is killed in this fight. He sort of personally blames himself for not thinking that would happen. Poirot's face gets injured, and I guess that's why he grows his mustache.
Yeah.
And he's got a fiance?
Yeah, there's a lot going on there. I do like this introduction because it does take place in the past, and like you said, we never really dived into a backstory for Poirot, so let's give him one. Fine. I'm all about it. Mm-hmm. It was cool, too, like, when we first think we see Poirot, we're introduced to the captain, because he's got that magnificent mustache, right? And they were like, I'm thinking, like, oh, that's a young Poirot. But no, there's a mustacheless Poirot. And like you said, he's really smart and able to kind of lead the troops to victory. But I don't know, I thought that was really... I'm always amused by that. Like, I think that's fun when it's like, oh, that's Poirot. No, it's just, like, some guy you really admire. And that's kind of... who he was striving to be somewhat. So I think that was like a cool little backstory for him. Yeah,
and I think it gives a lot of motivation. And, whether it's in the original text or not, like, you kind of understand why he's like not married. He's just kind of out there doing his thing, being a detective. And they kind of explain that through this backstory. So I felt it was interesting. Just because I don't think there's any other natural place to talk about this actress. Susanna Fielding plays Catherine, who's Catherine Poirot's lover.
You should go.
Do you have any idea how love works? When you love someone, you love them.
Who was killed during the First World War. Oh, spoiler. She's killed.
Well, we knew this even going back to Murder on the Orient Express. He was like, just longing over this picture of a woman, Kathleen. So now we get a little more of her screen time because we never saw much of her other than a picture in the first movie. Right. Remake.
Yeah, and it even fits into the backstory because he's a soldier, he's injured, she's a nurse, and we get some time to interact with him. Again, sort of humanizing this Brana Poirot, giving him his own backstory, his own universe. It's not even in Agatha Christie's text, and I think it gives this Hercule Poirot his unique stamp or place because there's obviously a lot of different interpretations of Poirot, and this is, I guess, the most recent one. And I think Kenneth Branagh does a good job of making this striking character that you can sort of easily recognize. We've given him 2 films with different backstory and motivation, and he's fleshed out in a way that I don't think you would get in any other Poirot series, outside of television.
Yeah.
So.
No, for sure. And that backstory plays into his art.
Yeah.
Because he has never loved. But not this time.
Right.
Maybe Poirot is going to fall in love and let his guard down. He starts doing that throughout the movie. And ultimately at the ending, which I'm sure we'll talk about.
Yeah. Yeah. It's almost, I don't want to talk about it yet because I think we have to introduce other characters, but
Yeah.
we'll put a pin in like the Boot character because that, when we do discuss that, that's I think that's a part of humanizing Poirot as well.
Mm-hmm.
But just to sort of set the framework for the film, the backstory for this film. In the original film, we had Louise Childs, who plays Lynette Ridgway Doyle.
Lois Child.
Do you think he'll sing a note for me?
Why not? You're divine.
In the remake, we have Gal Gadot as Lynette Ridgway Doyle, a wealthy heiress and the wife of a character's former fiance.
We have the Karnak all to ourselves, a chef and enough champagne to fill the Nile.
Should've hidden it, shouldn't you?
When you have money, no one is ever really your friend.
I think this is another example where I felt like Louis Childs was fine, but she didn't like immediately hit me as Lynette Ridgway either, like she definitely had like that class and sophistication that you were expecting, but I think in the film with some of the different actors we had in it, it wasn't like this drop dead gorgeous girl who has it all feel to it. It just,
Yeah, I think part of that might have to play with their introductions. Like her introduction, she just kind of drives up the mansion and just starts talking to, I guess, her servants or whatever, and then she just goes inside and talks to Jackie, and it's, it's not like, ooh, this amazing billionaire, this glamorous millionaire is coming here. It's just kind of like, I'm just going to the house.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, that's great. Yeah, it's a different introduction than Gal Gadot gets, for sure.
Yeah, there's like two characters outside, kind of like in the book that start talking about. I was like, oh, that's her, and she's rich. Okay, and like you said, she just kind of jumps right into talking to Jackie. Gal Gadot, to your point, does make this more kind of flashy entrance, and I think that's sort of what they wanted from this casting. Someone that you could kind of dress up in a fancy dress, get the glitz and glamour going, and pull off this sort of girl who has it all. Everyone falls in love with her, wants to be her. Even when you hate her, you still like you got to be around her. So I felt she really captured that pretty quickly, and was obviously a major selling point of the film itself.
Yeah.
So,
and I guess her introduction in the original, she, like I said, she talks to a couple servants, and then she talks to Jackie. In the remake, she's mostly with Jackie and Simon.
Right.
So you instantly are kind of in that love triangle right away. So it's a little bit of a slower burn in the original.
Yes. But I think that it works really well. I would say Louis Childs, I don't know if it's on purpose, but the way she interacts with people, she does come off as like a huge jerk throughout the film, and is like very easily kind of hateable, or you can see why people don't like her. Gal, I don't know. The way she, I guess, when I see Gal act, I always kind of get a similar vibe from her. And I felt like maybe she was kind of a jerk because she was aloof versus as malicious as I think Louis Child's character felt throughout the film. But, even when she was doing pretty bad stuff like stealing your husband, she still kind of had this like likable air, but maybe she's just really naive. I thought she played that well.
Yeah. It's kind of hard to talk without talking about the other characters.
You're right.
In this love triangle.
You're right. So to round out the love trial, we have Mia Farrow from the 1978 film, who plays Jacqueline de Belfort.
If the aunt of the vicar has never touched liquor, just wait till she finds the champagne.
And we have Emma McKay as Jacqueline de Belfort.
Of course she does. Take it to the dance floor, silly.
Who's a former friend of Lynette Ridgway, and Simon Scorn Lover, who's Simon. Simon McCorkindale as Simon Doyle.
Don't you think you've had enough?
Enough what?
To drink?
To drink. What business is it of yours?
None, I suppose.
In the 1978 film. And we had Armie Hammer, Mr. DeLay himself, as Simon Doyle in the 2022 film.
Stay for a bit. She's working up for a scene.
God, I feel so free.
Who plays Lynette's husband and Jacqueline's former lover. Very different intro of, let's just, I guess, start with Jackie.
Sure.
In these two films. Like you mentioned in the original film, she just kind of talking to her, is like, this is my husband, I really want you to meet him and hire him.
Yeah.
We're introduced to her basically concurrently with, basically at the same time as Lynette, and there's no real discerning difference between them, really, if you think about it. But in this remake, boy howdy, they're at the jazz club, and Emma Mackey and Armie Hammer are doing sex on the dance floor.
Sex dance.
Advanced sex dance. That was a crazy scene.
It was crazy because it's like I don't think people were dancing like that back then at all.
No, I don't think so.
But yeah, it was pretty erotic. Their dance,
which I think was effective actually as a scene, because to think that you would steal this man from this woman,
right?
Like that's bold.
They pretty much fucked 3 times on that dance floor.
I know.
So for her to do that, it's like wow.
Yeah. So,
well, she gets her dance.
She does get her dance, and it's a different dance. Let's put it that way. It's the same dance. Yeah, but I thought that sort of dynamic intro in that scene, you actually get an introduction to a lot of different characters in the jazz club, and that's cool because we're like consolidating some of these meetings and
So let's spend a little less time introducing everyone at a time. They're all here.
Yes.
Kind of.
Yeah. It's like there's a couple more we got to get to, but you're able to get like 6 to 7 passengers in that one scene, and you get different. How do you put it? You get to see some background work for these characters in those scenes, and that Jackie Simon dance at the beginning was like really just took the movie kind of full steam forward and said, all right, these two are a thing. As soon as Gal Gadot breaks that up, you're like, okay, you can tell there's going to be passion.
Oh yeah.
when she gets kind of ghosted by Simon.
You could definitely understand why she starts going crazy.
Almost immediately. I'll say this, that when it comes to the Simon Doyle characters, between Matt Corkindale and Armie Hammer, I actually thought that the original felt more like what I think Simon would feel like.
For sure. Yeah. It made more sense to me.
Right?
That she would want him, Lynette would want this guy. For Gal Gadot to go, oh, Armie Hammer with a weird mustache.
Yeah.
It's like, Yeah. Okay, my bias might be showing because I'm not a huge Armie Hammer guy.
Sure.
But like
nobody is right now.
But like, Armie Hammer just didn't seem to have it.
No.
Yeah. But the other guy who played Simon, Simon
McCorkindale.
Yeah, Simon McCorkindale. No, like initially when I saw him, I was like, I don't quite see it. But then like I was like, okay, I could see like him taking that girl, but like I could never see Armie Hammer just like doing it.
Right.
He did.
Right. I mean, I think he pulled off the kind of like
the horny guy.
Yeah, Armie pulled that off. Like the original guy, like that. The kind of dumb, kind of like jock guy. You know what I mean? Just like a guy that he looks good, right? But I don't know. There's something about that weird like old English. Darling. Well, that's like I don't know. I can't talk like that.
It's Jackie. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, I've been shot.
He does some overacting for sure, especially after he's been shot. But man, I had fun watching.
Yeah, he was a lot of fun. He was a lot of fun throughout the film, and you get the shot scene like 3 different angles because of the way they're telling the story, which is pretty cool.
And I know he could have been in the last one, but I kept thinking like Michael York.
Yeah,
watching this guy, I was like, that could have been Michael York, man.
That's awesome. But yeah, Armie Hammer. I don't know. Just to kind of talk about it, I guess there was controversy with Armie Hammer being accused of I guess, harassing women or like being a cannibal at some point. There's all kinds of...
Yeah, this is a cannibal thing.
Something happened on camera. And this movie kept getting delayed. And I think that I bet there's a version of this where he's more involved. I think they kind of let him take a bit of a back seat in this film. I mean, I think it got released in 2022 to let some of the heat come off of him so they could,
Maybe, yeah.
not get crushed in the box office. So I think he is, though, effective at moving the story along. I'm not really super convinced that he's Simon, like you mentioned, but I don't know. I think he's a good utility player in this film, but I really love the overacting in the original. I think that made it a lot more fun.
A lot more fun, a lot more memorable, too.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I saw this movie in theaters. I don't really remember a lot of what Armie Hammer did, except
just the
sexy dancing.
Sexy dance. Yeah.
Just really horny. Like, we gotta bang out here on the pyramids, gal.
Yeah.
Like, man, I guess. If I had Gal Gadot, I'd be suggesting that, too.
Yeah, I could see that. But, yeah, I don't know. Armie Hammer not doing it for me, but I felt Emmy Mackey and Mia Farrow really put in some work.
Yeah, for sure.
I love scary Mia Farrow, just like, you're on the pyramid, she comes out of nowhere. Did you know that it's 75 meters in diameter across 128? In ancient Giza was once known. It was like, get the fuck away from me.
Welcome to the Temple of Abu Simbel. The facade is 84 feet long. Each of the statues of Ramesses II is 65 feet high. Get away from me! Get away!
Creepy random facts. Jackie, gotta love it.
Random facts, crazy eyes. Mia Farrow does really good. When she actually has the gun, she's like pointing the gun at her own head like she's the fucking Joker.
I just want to put this gun right against her head. And then ever so gently.
It's crazy. Like I loved her switch from this like nice, bubbly, like over the top girl who like she's in love to I'm out of my fucking mind to then like, oh my god, I can't believe I shot you. She does it all so well, and Mia Farrow is definitely one of the standout players in this film. More so than Hercule Poirot. Like, again, another character that makes the movie fun, because it's not always as fun, but some characters do pull that out, and I thought she was great. I was like, man, I want to see Mia Farrow in more things because of what she did here.
No, I mean she's easy to sympathize with because like she is like really sweet, especially in that opening. You know, she's just like, I'm just so in love. You don't know how in love I am with this assignment. Oh, it's amazing. And then you do feel for her, and I do like that. Like, you know, she wasn't like, I'm gonna get you. She just came out with the random facts, like creepy tour guide.
Yeah, creepy tour guide. That was 100% the energy. Oh man, she was giving you latitude and longitude, and you're like, I want you to not be here anymore.
It's a great performance, and even in the remake, Emma Mackey or Mackie, she was great. I really felt for her, like her turn. Like I really just like felt her pain. I think she was able to really translate that so the audience can just feel like that scorned lover kind of a vibe.
Yeah, because I'll say this, like Emma Mackey, I thought did a great job because I like Gal, right? But I felt she looked like Lynette, but she wasn't giving us a lot on the back end. And I felt like the way Emma Mackey was able to do this Jackie DeVille for it, I wish that someone like that was playing Lynette too, just to get more out of the character. But like Emma, she was so good in the film, just like going, like her crazy was very believable. And when she kind of mellowed out afterwards, it felt natural to this character as well. It never felt out of place where like Mia, I loved it, but like it was, that range was like all over the place. Emma felt very consistent, but I thought she was a real driving force in the film. I really liked her performance.
I'll give this to a slight edge to Mia Farrow just because, like, Emma Mackey, like, she looks pretty glamorous.
Yeah, she does.
Like when she walked into a room in that red dress, I was just like, wow.
Yeah.
Like I'm forgetting about Gal Gadot. Like,
Right.
So I think like, this is gonna sound really superficial, but just like looks wise, they're a little more like.
There's a tier list.
Yeah, they're kind of even, but like in the original, Lynette is always dressed glamorous, and then you got Mia Farrow's Jackie, very not glamorous at all in the way she dresses, especially when she's doing like the random facts. But so it's a little more, I guess, believable that this guy could leave her for this glamorous woman.
Sure.
Because Emma Mackey looks pretty good.
Very fucking good the whole time. I also think Mia got a lot out of Louis Childs, because once Mia Farrow started bugging her, like it was almost like that meme, where the lady's pointing at the cat. It's like sitting, like she's just so mad and screaming and stuff like that. Like I think she elevated Lynette Ridgway to like match her crazy, sort of. And I never felt like Gal Gadot could match Emma Mackey's crazy. And like you said, Emma Mackey does look like she could put up a fight with Gal Gadot. It's not so unbelievable that they let. Good point. It's a good point. I don't know. I think that in combination, that original love triangle works better. Yeah. Because like everybody's pulling their weight. Yeah. Oh, my leg. Like that was so good.
It's fun, man.
It's so good.
He's great.
Oh man, like that. Yeah, that alone, I think pulled over the top. Everybody plays a role, and because of the nature of the film, and when Lynette Ridgway dies, like Louis Childs being like maybe not my favorite person doesn't really matter, because like. Done, right? Right. So then we can focus on these other two really strong players.
Really strong, yeah. And then once Gal Gadot's gone, you got... I keep forgetting her name. You got Emma Mackey. What, Mackey?
Whatever.
You got Emma Mackey, and then she's great. So I'll follow that journey. But then I got also follow Emma Hammer.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of like, I don't know.
And unfortunately, like in a film that is an ensemble cast like this, when you get your basically top billing out of a film, that's not a good thing anymore.
She was pretty much the top billing.
Okay, the star of your movie is now not in your movie. Where do you go from here?
It's a problem.
These days it is. It's really hard to sell an audience tickets and say, I'm only going to give you this star for half the movie. It's like, that's not really what people pay for. So I think that's a problem that they run into that you don't run into in the original, because everyone's pulling higher than Hercule Poirot. So you almost can't miss in this scenario. But it's super edge to the original. But the sex dance in the remake, it put him in the fight. That was the scene. Well, because we've introduced these sort of these main players, it does allow us to kind of build back into Hercule Poirot, because we get to meet up with his sort of ally who's helping him as the film starts to progress. So in the original film, it's David Niven, a returning character, who plays a character that's actually in the book, Colonel Rafe.
David Niven. She must have known something about the Net Doors murder.
And then we have Tom Bateman in 2022 reprising his role as Book, who's Hercule Poirot's friend, and
Poirot! Book! What are you doing here? What do you think about my kite? I'll come down. Stay there. Be careful. Of all the pyramids in all the world, you have to walk up to mine.
in this film there's a character named Euphemia, and he is Euphemia's son, who we'll talk about later. Right. David Niven, it's good. He's Niven.
Yeah.
But he doesn't get a lot to do, but I think it does sort of match Colonel Race in the book, which is he's very much not Poirot's equal. They're amicable and they're friends, but Hercule Poirot is basically doing all the thinking, and Race is like, I don't know what the hell's going on, and he never knows what's going on in the film. So like Niven, I think He plays it well. He gets some little action scenes. He gets to like stab a snake. That was pretty cool.
But before that, though, he gets to decipher some Morse code through the wall.
That's true.
That's pretty badass. You know, your buddy's just waiting there, waiting for you to hear some tapping to save your ass.
And like immediately like, oh shit, that's Morse code. Let me go into the next room and stab a snake. It's like, wow.
Yeah.
You almost wish he was Poirot.
Yes, I did wish he was Poirot for sure. And
Hercule Poirot didn't stab these snakes in that film.
no, not at all. He didn't have an awesome action sequence like that. But yeah, I think David Niven, between the two of them in that original film, Niven's more interesting, my favorite character.
He doesn't talk as much, which actually may not be a bad thing either. Like I like Niven. I like that it's a character that's in the book. And that's one thing that this original does a lot. And as we keep talking, we're going to start branching in. The remake does not. The remake has characters switched around, different names. Some characters are missing, some characters there who wouldn't be. And it's an interpretation. And this original is mostly sticking to the script of the text.
Right.
And doing one-to-one with their cast. But like I said, Niven was fine. Did make you wish he was the main guy. In this remake, I really did like Book coming back. Even though Book's not in this book at all, we're continuing the Branagh Poirot universe. So I think that was fine. And he was really sort of humanizing and, like you mentioned, helped basically give Poirot his entire arc in this film. It goes like fiance, Book, and then his final sort of evolution, I guess. But like you don't get that at all without Tom Bateman's character in this film, and he's most of the humor. Again,
yeah, even his introduction, just being on the pyramid.
I thought that was so crazy. Like
I'm flying a kite on the pyramid. Have you ever seen anyone fly a kite on the pyramid? I don't think so.
That was fun. I didn't know why it was happening. Like tonally, I was like, this does not make sense for the source material.
Right.
But okay.
No, I was happy to see his character back. I liked his character in the first movie, so I was fine. Let's bring him back for the sequel. You know, we can kind of make a way for it, why he's there.
Right.
Sure.
Right,
okay.
Sure.
But going back to the pyramid, so like you can kind of tell it was like a little green screen going on.
Yeah.
But they were really on the pyramid in the original film. Like they were not the biggest one, but they climbed to the top of a pyramid.
Well, they'll do that. Did their own stunts. Yeah, that was some interesting green screen work. I don't know. It's so fun though. It's like, why are you up there? The levity that it brought to the film was good for me, and he just felt like a light character while a lot of people were being heavier.
I was gonna say I like how his character starts off. I don't like what they did with him.
Yeah. I know what you mean. So like basically,
how is end?
Yeah.
Spoilers.
No, it's a good point. I mean, Tom Bateman's character takes over kind of responsibility for characters in the book. You know, like to make him, I don't know what they're doing actually, but to make him have his ending in that film, it required him to kind of be an antagonist, like require him to do something bad, and it's like you've got this character that you built up all this goodwill,
right? And then all of a sudden we're gonna start shitting on him, and not give him any chance to redeem himself,
right? No chance to redeem himself at all.
No.
So yeah, that's not great because then you go back and because this is a universe now, like put it in perspective with the Orient Express, right? Was he doing crimes there?
Well, Poirot didn't say so he must not have been doing a crime at least that time. But he could have been because now I know he's capable of it.
Yeah. I think they threw in some like random lines where he basically was like, he went too far, like crossed the line basically. But he didn't need to cross the line, like at all. I don't care that in a 1937 book there were characters that stole necklaces.
Right.
Cool. But you didn't put them in this story. So, like you could make another character book. I don't know, call him a movie. I don't know. Like it doesn't matter. Don't give this fun character baggage that isn't in his book. and isn't in your book. Like it's just like, all right, we've tarnished the Book name, and he's one of the most fun things happening in this film and the previous. So it's not a good choice, I think, to have him take this villain, not villain turn, but like kind of rogue turn.
I mean, should we get to his arc? Because it is pretty interesting. We know we have to introduce the other characters, like his mom and his love. Yeah,
we'll do more intro so that we can kind of talk about every aspect of I guess his mystery. So kind of building on that, I think you would need to talk about these characters to fully discuss what they did with Book in the film. So in the original film, we have Angela Lansbury, who plays Salome Otterborn.
Angela Lansbury. You see, I know all I can.
And in the remake, we have Sophie Okonedo, who plays Salome Otterborn.
I want to tell you the natural facts.
And in the 1978 film, they stick kind of true to the original novel. In Salome, I'm probably saying it wrong. So they stay true to the novel. So Mrs. Otterborn in the original is a romance novelist who likes to drink, and in the remake, Miss Otterborn is like a jazz singer, which plays into like a Poirot love story because he gets to see her play jazz. So they kind of switch what this character does, and I think in the remake, I think it actually works because we're doing this Poirot love thing. But I do like that the original gets to sit in this Angela Lansbury drunken portrayal. I think that's a lot of fun in the film, and she just chews up scenery in a fun way.
Yeah, she's a really fun character, and I always enjoy seeing Angela Lansbury in anything where she's, I guess, not that Murder, She Wrote character, so that's always fun. As far as Sophie in the remake, you know, because there is this huge arc for Poirot, this love arc, or just maybe just change in general.
Yeah.
So it depends on how you feel. Like, do you feel like we needed to have that love story in this murder mystery as well, or
could we
just focus on the murder?
we could, but you know, this is a weirdly enough Poirot-centric film, in a story where actually in a lot of ways Poirot takes a backseat to this sort of big Ridgway character. You know, to have this movie be so focused on Hercule Poirot, you know, I guess it depends on what you want, right? Like if you want to stay true to the source material, I don't think you like that at all. But I think if you like this Poirot that Branagh has made, then maybe you do want to explore these stories. So it really would be subjective, but I think for the film that they made, I think that these types of moves work. So I was okay with it, even though it made it hard for me to follow the mystery, as it were, if you know the source material.
Yeah. I think, I'm just going to get into it now, I think that there's so much, like, not just his arc, but even Book's, there's 2 love stories going on.
Right.
In addition to the main love story that's a reason for a murder.
So let's talk about his love interest, just to introduce me. In the original film, you have Olivia Hussey, who plays Rosalie Otterborn.
I really must be going.
No, wait. It's very sad.
And then in the remake, it's Letitia Wright, who plays Rosalie Otterborn, who's Salome's niece, business manager, Lynette's classmate, and Book's love interest.
Call it a night, Jackie.
Right. So we got a love story with Poirot and Salome.
Yeah,
is that anything?
That's what I'm saying.
Okay. Yeah. So we have a love story or a love arc, I guess, with Poirot and Salome. Oh, God damn it. Okay. So we got a bunch of love stories going on. Okay. In the remake. Okay, let me do that again. Sorry. Okay, so we got a lot of love stories going on in the remake. We have Poirot and Miss Otterborn. We got Book and the younger Otterborn.
Yes.
And then we also have kind of Simon and Jackie and Lynette. So there's a lot of love stuff going on. And, I'm not going to lie. I don't think we needed all that.
That's a great point.
I was just like, okay, I guess he has a love arc. He has a love arc too. So I feel like this movie focuses less on like the murder mystery aspect of it, and it really just becomes more of a character study.
It does. Yeah, I would say that that's a fair assessment of what this film does. And I don't know, like the Book love story is introduced in a very small amount of time, and we don't get a lot of time to sit with that before his sort of final conclusion. And because of that, like the love story ultimately is kind of irrelevant, I don't know. I think they're using Book to kind of pull on our heartstrings in a way that undermines the character. Like, I don't know why I need to know that Book's in this love story with Letitia Wright's character if we're not going to actually get to complete that.
Yeah, it was a weird choice.
Because as it was happening, I was like, okay, I kind of like that they're doing this. Mm-hmm. And because Colonel Race doesn't die, and Book has taken a Colonel Race.
Right. He's taking Race's place.
He's Colonel Race in the movie. I was not expecting that at all, and honestly, like we were talking about, I didn't like it because you just gave me this interesting love arc, and you could potentially talk about like a race component because they made her a jazz singer instead of a novelist. So like, there's all these elements that are sitting right here on the surface that you're like, oh, we're gonna bake this, we're gonna fully bake this plot and complete this great arc, and then you immediately take Book out as this like surprise spoilers, as a surprise death.
Yeah, well, I want to get into it. I really do. So I think let's just talk about his mom really quick. Yeah, so I do want to get into this love story about Book because there's a lot of focus on it.
Right.
and like we said, we're not sure about that ending. So we also have in the remake Annette Bening as Euphemia. That's the mom, Book's mom.
Mother, you must meet Hercule Poirot.
Why?
He's only the greatest detective alive. Oh, he exaggerates. No, he's quite correct, actually.
You're quite the most ludicrous man I have ever seen.
We're introduced to her. She's, Book, we talked about him or being silly with the kite on the pyramid, and she's actually painting that.
Yes.
So she loves her son very much. It's a loving mother, and she supports her son a lot, but she doesn't approve of one decision in his life, and that's, I guess, his love interest.
Right.
And she doesn't approve of Rosalie, Letitia Wright's character.
Right.
So, I guess I get that. It's like a little bit of an overplayed trope, the unapproving parent over this young couple, and they're probably going to go through it anyway.
Right.
So she's not approving of it, which plays into his arc because he needs money because he can't get it from her.
Right. Yeah.
So like we said, we built up all this goodwill with Book.
Yeah.
He's the one that steals the necklace.
Right.
Panics, puts it in his mom's shit that's found there.
But yeah, it's just messy, and it has nothing to do with like the original film.
No, it has nothing.
Excuse me, the original. Well, yeah, the original film or the
source material. Yeah. So the way Book gets the necklace, he goes into the next room after she's dead. Right. Sees her dead body, doesn't say anything to anybody, just takes the necklace.
Yeah, that's pretty rough.
It makes him such a piece of shit.
That's not good.
Built up so much goodwill with him, not only in the beginning of this film, but with the entire film that came before, Murder on the Orient Express.
I didn't think
so. Now he's a thief.
Yeah.
He's a liar, and he's gonna eventually be a witness to a murder, and not talk about that either.
Right.
So we've just done so much to knock his character down into like what a shitty person, and then while he's being interrogated about it, he's gonna get killed. So fuck any redemption arc, like we said.
Yeah.
It's such a weird way to go with the character. I understand killing a character that you like.
Sure.
But you don't fucking just destroy his character right before that.
Well, you could.
You could. Usually it's done to villains, though, Reggie. Usually it's done to villains.
I mean, you can flamethrow a lot of people's favorite character if that's what you want to do. That was a good artistic choice because let's keep Armie Hammer's character intact and destroy Tom Bateman.
Yeah, that's so weird. Like I said, I liked Book in the previous movie, and I was happy to see
Yeah.
him return. I did not like that we're interrogating him.
Right.
Like, almost, I thought we were going to accuse him of the murder.
Right.
Like, oh, he did it. This is an interesting choice. We got a little bit of a twist here with the remake. But no, he was just a real piece of shit.
Right.
And you were rooting for a piece of shit the whole time. I hope you know that, audience.
You
Like, you made
suck,
me
audience.
feel like an asshole because you told me he was nice, but he's not.
Yeah. Because I remember when we watched Murder on the Orient Express, I said that I thought Book was great. He wasn't what I expected
Right.
that character looked like, but what he did was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And then, because of the work from that first film, we're on board. It's this guy. He's flying the kite.
Hey!
This is awesome, man.
It's our buddy.
Yeah.
It's good to see our buddy again.
It really was, actually. Like, I actually genuinely enjoyed seeing Tom Bateman and Kenneth Branagh interacting. It's some of my favorite parts of the
It's
film.
like the Batman and Robin of this universe.
Yeah.
But now we're going to kill Robin, and he's going to be a whole piece of
Yeah.
shit. So I don't know how to
Turns out
react.
Ra's al
We don't
Ghul had
either.
brainwashed him or something. I don't know. Who knows? But he's an asshole. Yeah, it sucks, man.
Such a weird choice to do that to a character, like you said, that you built so much goodwill towards.
Two films worth.
Two films! Yeah, 2 films worth.
2 films worth.
We're going to kill him. I don't think people like that. We'll just make him a piece of shit. Don't worry.
I don't know. And then it forces Letitia Wright into this weird spot, too, where now she has to be like 3 characters combined into one. But even though none of that matters, because she's also this other character whose only job is to make sure her mom isn't like fucking up. Like, she doesn't want her mom to fall into financial ruin. I think she has some strong moments in the film, but because her backstop is Book as well, the only reason that you're going to care about Letitia Wright is because she's in a relationship with Book.
Because Boo cares about her, so we care about her.
Right.
And we want them to, succeed and be approved of and everything.
Because, like, Salome or whatever, like, Mrs. Otterborn is doing her own thing.
Yeah.
Like, she carries a gun. She's a pretty tough lady. She's, like, actually, the way this film is designed, she's actually in this, like, love arc with Poirot, which makes her an elevated character.
Yeah, like she's like even to him, like she's a match for him.
Right.
So that significantly elevates her character and her standing with the other character.
The most interesting man in the world is very interested in you. That's awesome. So like Letitia Wright, although she gets these sort of badass moments like, actually I saved all this money and I can shoot too and all this stuff. It doesn't really matter because unfortunately, no matter what you do with a character in Hollywood, the couple or the man that she's attached to, that's where they are in the film. So like once Book is gone, her only job is to then take care of Euphemia. So now she's taking care of 2 old ladies. Like, what are we doing here, man? I don't know. I thought there were some really strong moments in like her pushing back and saying, regardless of who is trying to stop us, we're going to be a couple. Is a strong motivator for her, and it's taken like a scene later.
Yeah.
It's one of the weirdest love arcs I've seen in a film because it was just out of nowhere and then it was gone like seconds later.
Yeah. And then this like kind of falls on Poirot's shoulders. It's his fault.
Right.
So now
that's another problem.
So now we're knocking him down, and now Salome and Rosalie.
Yeah.
Rosalie and the mom both hate Poirot.
Right.
Because now he's the reason there's no Book in their lives.
I know, which then destroys the Poirot love arc because Miss Otterborn hates Poirot because he's bad at solving crimes, but he can't be bad at solving crimes because he's Hercule Poirot, the world famous detective. And that's why I'm wearing a Batman shirt, because he's the detective. That's why I wore the Batman shirt.
Very good, very good.
Yep. Speaking of Ross. That scene does so much tumbling and turning and for nothing.
For nothing.
There is no reason for any of it. It is drama for the sake of just having it. And you're right, it takes Poirot down a peg because he's failed his friend. Yeah. This is twice in this film. He failed his colonel. He's failed his friend. Hey, Poirot, this is starting to be a trend, man. You want to start solving this case, and you've added a murder. So, like, like 5 people got to die before you you start catching up, dude. It's crazy. Like the number of deaths that happened on his watch.
Yeah.
But Book being the biggest one. Like
Right.
you couldn't protect your own, for lack of better words, family. Then what good are you?
Yeah. No, it's you really can't get over like just how bizarre that interrogation was. And it's such a weird choice too I'm gonna assume Poirot knew at that point that Simon was the killer, and then he's gonna like have him there at the interrogation too.
Right.
Of your friend.
Right.
Why can't you just be with your friend and be like, look, we need to talk because I know things.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
No, but we're gonna have this overly dramatic, like I said, drama for drama's sake about Book and like witnessing a murder, knowing about a murder,
Right.
stealing, lying.
Right.
It's like it's so weird.
Yeah, and like I almost thought, which would have been stupid too, I almost thought that like maybe they're still going to use this like fake jewelry angle that you kind of have in the original, or at least in the source material. And no, he actually stole the necklace. Yeah. He actually saw the dead chick.
He got blood. He got somebody's blood all over him, and he threw his jacket over. I noticed you did not have your jacket.
Yeah.
It's like just his jacket had to be thrown overboard. Okay.
Yeah, he got a lot of blood splashing. It was like Sin City. That scene.
It was like fucking Kill Bill.
Yeah, it was crazy. Yeah, what was that?
Yeah, I don't know.
That was so strange.
It was a choice, and I don't agree with it.
You know what's great? Because of the way they framed Book in this film, we've talked about the Book murder, and we haven't talked about the main murder.
Yeah, I'm pissed about the Book murder. I'm more pissed than the main murder.
I know. That's the thing about, like, the love triangle in the original, like you were saying. It's interesting, I guess. But, like, we're in the Brana extended universe here, so Book and Poirot are far more substantial of a story to me.
Yeah.
Off of pure time investment.
Right.
Than Gal Gadot and some fuck dance couple.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow.
It is weird.
I never thought about it like that.
And another just negative thing about that, because we know Poirot and Book from the previous film.
Sure.
So obviously it can't be Book as a murderer.
Right.
And you're gonna assume that
It's
both
not
of their
Poirot.
love interests
Right.
are also not the murderers. So like underplays like their
would be kind of
suspicion.
cool.
It would be a good twist,
especially Miss Otterborn. That would have been cool.
Yeah.
It doesn't work, but
it doesn't work. And it's definitely not like the source material, but like it just feels like they're not going to go there.
Right.
So we are just checking names off the list. Like, okay, you're innocent too at the same time before we have wrapped up the investigation.
Right.
So that's just another pet peeve I had with the love interest arcs.
Yeah, and the other side of it too is, as you can check those off, you also have checked off several other names because they've died. So like this list there's only so many plausible people, and I remember me and Pri went to see the movie at Menlo Park, and Pri had said that I liked the film, but I felt it was a little predictable, and I didn't feel that at all when I was reading the book.
Yeah.
I didn't, by the time I saw the original, I mean, at this point, I'd have to be asleep to not make assumptions. But, I could see that, like, if you're watching this film, because of the way you can start checking names off the list, I can see how you would be clued off to how this mystery plays out, even if you've never read the book. So, I didn't get to watch the movie from that lens, but talking to someone who did, that's interesting. Right.
No. And, again, another thing with the love story.
Sure.
We're focusing on the love story. It has nothing to do with the investigation at all until that final.
Oh, yeah.
Until Book gets interrogated. So a lot of time is just spent on, like, love story. We're not trying to solve the murder.
Right.
You know what we should be doing in this murder mystery, Reggie? Trying to solve the murder.
Yeah. I've heard different complaints from reviews that it takes too long to get into it. I'm kind of okay with a movie building, but you're right. We're spending a lot of time with the love that I don't think we get into a murder until about halfway through the film. And maybe even later. And at that point, there's so much happening because you've got 2 other love interests now that you've got to account for. You've got to build out these characters who aren't where they're supposed to be and kind of make that arc work too. So there is not a lot of time to spend with this murder and the mystery itself, without distractions of other murder love mysteries too. There's like 2 of them in the same film. How'd you do that?
Yeah, so there's a lot going on.
Yeah.
We focus on love stories a lot in the remake. So maybe we should go into other characters.
Yeah, let's
because there are other characters in these films.
There are. Just to jump back in, 2 other characters, kind of fun. In the original film, Betty Davis plays Marie Van Schuyler.
Betty Davis.
You perfectly foul French upstart.
And in the remake, Jennifer Saunders plays Marie Van Schuyler.
I love that girl.
Yeah, so in the original, it's Miss Van Schuyler, who's like an elderly socialite, and she's like a kleptomaniac, so like she needs someone to kind of look out for her. So just kind of moving along with other characters. As well, Maggie Smith in the original plays Mrs. Bowers.
Maggie Smith.
But why should I kill Mrs.
And in the remake, Dawn French plays Mrs. Bowers.
Accused me of murder.
Mrs. Bowers blames Lynette for ruining her father, which is basically the same thing in the remake. Bowers was wealthy and then got evicted or something because Lynette's father did stuff during the Great Depression. And then 2 other characters, just to like start rounding this out.
Sure.
In the original film, we have George Kennedy, who plays Andrew Pennington.
George Kennedy.
George Kennedy. You can't pin that on me.
Fun character. And Ali Faisal, who plays Andrew Kachadorian.
There are so many conflicting.
Who basically plays a Pennington-type character in the remake. Both of those characters are basically Lynette's lawyer, trustee-type character who happens to be embezzling money.
Right. And they're trying to just get Lynette to sign this thing so that they can cover their ass and get paid.
Yeah. And I guess the last kind of 2 characters that are in tandem that we could talk about, we've got Jack Warden in the original film who plays Dr. Bessner, who's like a Swiss psychiatrist, kind of like plays it real straight in the film.
Me? Jack Warden. So now you think that I?
And then we have Russell Brand, who, this is just such an interesting choice, who's Linus Windlesham.
Simon Doyle!
Who in this film is a doctor, so he's like a one-to-one Dr. Bessner. But based off the source material, Windlesham is not a doctor, but he's Lynette's first fiance, who she kind of just gets rid of for Simon Doyle.
Right.
And when they said that Russell Brand was going to play this character, I thought they were going to kind of comedically use him to be like, maybe like fawning over her or like taking it really badly that she dumped him. But they make him like almost like a non-interested partner who's just a doctor now.
Yeah.
And by the source material, shouldn't even be on the ship. But like, okay, you took the former fiance, made him basically like a statue whose only job is to be a doctor. And maybe he's responsible for her death because he's a former fiance, but like it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. Like, why would you take Russell Brand and have him just play it straight? Like, I thought he did it fine, but like
He was fine.
what? Why would you make him the former fiance, put him on the boat when he wasn't on the boat in the book, which means you could kind of play around with this character.
Right. You gotta give him like almost like a Jackie type of thing.
You could.
Going on, right? But they don't. It's so underplayed, the fact that he's the ex-fiance. Like,
I didn't even know.
You blink and you miss, yeah. Honestly, like, I barely knew. I only found out because, like, I reread the Wikipedia synopsis. I was like, oh, he was the fiance? I didn't realize that.
I like missed that. And I knew that was made sense because the last name, like in the book, Windlesham is trying to get her to marry him. She's like, no, and she wants to live in Woad Hall, which is like the estate that she made, which is in both films, which is kind of cool. But like, I love that the original movie was like, we're not going to add that part. We're not even going to have Windlesham. We're just going to get right to what everyone cares about. And having Russell Brand here playing someone so close to Lynette and so uninterested.
Yeah, and like barely shares screen time with her.
Letitia Wright is more upset at Lynette than her former fiance, who got invited to the wedding. That, like, there's so much room to do something with that, and it just hangs there doing nothing.
Yeah. I mean, I'll just add this now. The original film is a little bit longer.
Yeah.
Maybe like about 20 minutes. So there's a good possibility some of his more interesting stuff, a lot of the characters maybe, more interesting stuff got cut. We'll never know. But what we saw, he was such a non-factor in that remake.
Not even when they accuse him of murder, it's like...
Because it's his scalpel, right?
They barely... It's so not believable.
Yeah.
Like, the original film handles that scene so much better. It's like, you dare accuse me of this? And it's like, I'll sue you for libel. Like, another character who's not doing much. Like, the doctor has some funny lines in the original film, but that moment when he's accused, he gets to, like, overact like everybody else. Russell Brand is playing it so straight. I'm mad. It's like, okay, I'm impressed that you can act. Thanks. I get that you want to be an actor. We've seen your films.
Yeah, we didn't like you in Arthur.
we did not. I didn't like him here either because I was ready for something. Maybe he was keeping it straight, but underneath he was seething, But
we never saw that. We never saw the underneath seething. You know, if you show us like a little peek of it, then I'll get it. That why you're keeping this kind of straight demeanor. But I need something. You just seem like an okay dude. Like, I'm just here. Okay.
And that's purely that's either an editing, a writing, or something. There's a problem here because I would not be saying this if his name was like Dr. Besner. I was like, oh yeah, Russell Brand was kind of good. That's all I would say. But you made him Windlesham.
Right. You gave him a lot to play with, and he plays with nothing.
He's doing nothing, and to the point where like the Pennington character is more interesting, even though he's not Pennington in the remake.
Yeah.
What you think about George Kennedy? I kind of liked his.
I'm a huge Naked Gun fan.
Yeah,
so
okay.
Anytime I see George Kennedy in anything, or like I was like, oh, it's him and Kool-Aid Luke, or just seeing him here. And again, he does the thing like, how dare you? I wasn't doing anything. I didn't steal.
If I was going to shoot her, I would have used this. It's like,
this is a gun.
It's like
everybody knew why I kept that gun. I didn't take that gun. That's pretty good, George Kennedy.
Yeah. Man, that was fun, but I thought Ali Faisal was fine as a Cachadorian, but I was confused why he was Cachadorian. Like, who is that? It's like a family friend and trustee. So like, you've kept the same character, but you've changed the backstory. I mean, he could have been Pennington. Like, it's fine. People have last names. I don't know. I felt like taking Pennington sort of out and switching it. It's just more of a distraction, right? Like, it just felt like a distraction. Russell Brand's Windlesham felt like a distraction, I think at one point in the film, speaking of love interest, there's another love interest that Poirot kind of discovers in the film. I have it here. In the remake, Dawn French as Mrs. Bowers is Van Schuyler's nurse and lover.
Right.
So there's another thing, and it's
like kind of a closeted love, I guess you could say, because of the times. Yeah,
and maybe that's an interpretation of source material because that didn't jump out at me in the
reading of it.
In the reading of it, maybe that's in the subtext and why they pulled it out, or maybe they just.
It might have been because like I said, I watched the original first, and then I was like, oh, you are lovers, and you cannot tell anyone of your love. And then watching the remake, watching Maggie Smith dressed up in suits all the time.
Right.
Like I was kind of waiting for them to kind of come out.
Right.
They were in a relationship. It never does happen, but I can kind of see. Yeah.
Right.
Like, oh yeah, it's there, so we'll just say it. That's what it is.
Yeah. I think I can appreciate a film kind of taking an audience and saying like, this is what was in that text that wasn't.
Right.
You know,
it wasn't outright said.
Right. Which is kind of a cool pull, but another love interest.
No, that's just another one.
And actually, we got one last love interest. In the original film, Jane Birkin played Louise Bourget. In the remake, it's Rose Leslie who plays Louise, who's Lynette's personal maid.
I don't feel safe with any of them.
Right. Denied the love.
Yes.
From the net.
Yes. If you want to go source material, there's a maid who was fired because her Egyptian boyfriend basically was trying to marry her, but he was still technically married.
Right.
That guy was on the boat in the book, but he's not in either of these films. But I just thought it was interesting. And they just switched him out with the maid, which I think was smart in both films.
Mm-hmm.
And fun character, especially in the remake. I thought the way she's just like wearing the pearls with the foreshadowing at the beginning, stuff like that, was cool. And I thought Louise Bourget was able to like subtly like have some fun scenes when she was interacting with people. So
I feel like Louise. I thought in the original Jane Birkin, I thought she got maybe a little more screen time because I felt more of that like, come on, I wanted to marry this dude. Like, okay, now it's okay. Like he's leaving her. And it's like, well, no, you still can't. Well, I'm legit.
The motivation was definitely more apparent for Jane Birkin in the original.
Yeah,
for sure,
absolutely.
And actually, again, helping that the Lynette in the original, helping Louise Childs like really come across as unlikable.
Yeah,
like the scene after she denied the dowry, poor Rose kind of off to the side is like, one who can make enemies of what I forget the exact line, but you know it's really on the nose, and it's like here's Lynette making another enemy in a scene. Versus like the remake, as people were like, we don't like you, Gal Gadot. She's as shocked as I am. She's like, me?
Yeah.
you don't like me? I don't know. Louise Childs felt, like we said before, but she felt like the person who people would want to get rid of. Much more so than Gal. But that's I think that's most of your players here in the film. So now that we've kind of talked about basically everyone on the ship and like some potential motivation, like we mentioned, around the halfway mark of both films, Lynette Ridgway is killed. And that's when the movies really start to kind of open up and explore some of these relationships. I would say that I think a consistent theme of the original film is that the accusation period is when each of these actors gets to just go crazy monologue over the top. Like Angela Lansbury is one of the most fun people in the film for sure. And I try to think of who I latched onto in the remake like that, and I think I'm at a loss as to who jumped out at me.
Yeah, I think in general, I think the original film does a better job just of raising suspicion for everybody.
Yes,
that everybody can be a suspect.
Right.
And like I said before, with this remake, because we have so much focus on the love story, not everybody gets a lot of screen time because of that. Not everybody feels as of equal importance to be a suspect.
Right. I think that in the remake, what happens a lot is backstory is explained as someone's being accused. And in the original, there's a lot more foreshadowing, which probably longer runtime, but you could see scenes where someone's like, I wish someone would just get rid of you. You know, there's a lot more of that
I'm surprised nobody just put a bullet in her head already.
Right.
There's a lot of there's a lot of loose lips and Poirot's open ears here.
Mhm.
Everybody say this shit about Lynette.
And-
So yeah, it just like I said, it just raises the suspicion
Yeah.
level of everybody. Okay, yeah, that guy just said he wanted to go. That person said he wanted to go, and so did that person. Really don't get that in the remake.
Right.
I get it. It's very on the nose.
Yeah.
I'm going to kill her. I might be the killer. So I get why you don't do that. But I don't know. I just feel like if you don't do that, you gotta do something.
Right.
Because I'm not feeling like I need to figure out who did it. Like it's obviously one of these main people that we're focusing on instead of all these side characters.
And I'm really not suspicious of anyone, really. I'm just kind of like, all right, where are they going?
Where are we going? Exactly. We have so many different arcs going on here. Where are we going? What is the focus? Because it ain't the murder for a while.
It feels like in a lot of ways, and you want it to because of the way it's filmed. It kind of feels like it's on rails, right? Like you're on the roller coaster. You're going to take the ride. Here's the up. Here's the down. You don't have to look here or there. Like this is what we're doing the whole time. That other film had these like branching arcs of why I oughta. And then even as people were like clear to crimes, they're like, I still would have.
I'm glad somebody did.
You know, you could reasonably think that someone did it. And like in the remake, I never felt like I was actually sitting there like, who did this?
Who did this? Yeah.
It's more of an action film than a mystery.
Yeah.
In some ways. You know, it's like you mentioned, the character study, and not really a mystery study.
No, we're not actively solving this mystery. And you know, when you stop trying to solve the mystery, it's like it gets off those rails that I was expected to be on. Just going back to the original, like how you make everyone a suspect. This is something really simple the original did. After that stone was kind of thrown at Simon and Lynette, it's a little cheesy, but it's a great job of what the original film did. It just, everybody got like their single like moment of walking creepily into frame and making you think like, oh, it's definitely that person. No, look at that person. No, it's definitely that person. It just panned on everybody and gave them their like 15 seconds of like, this could be a suspect. This could be a suspect. I know it's a little cheesy and outdated to do, but goddamn, it worked.
It worked, man. You know, I think that movie got to sit back and do that. And unfortunately for this remake, part of the reason I wanted to see the film too, and I don't think they really delivered in this respect, I was really interested in what they were going to do with this set and the design and stuff like that. And I was like, this is going to be fucking glamorous and crazy.
Dude, fucking Egypt, right?
Because Murder Orient Express was like a slick, cool looking movie. And I'm like, these guys are going to like up the ante. You know, this is the sequel. And I never felt like it felt flat.
Right, and like I said, we look at the pyramid, that's CG. I can see the green screen.
I mean, the closest thing, and they should have done more cheesy shit like this, when, for whatever reason, Gal Gadot's in that Cleopatra thing. She's like in this like structure that makes it look like she's like 7 feet tall. And she just gets out of it and like, it's just Gal. And it doesn't serve a purpose. It doesn't further the plot. But it's a spectacle, and I kind of wanted to see more spectacle from this film. And I felt like a lot of tight corridors trying to like zoom in on people and have like these one-on-one conversations like it's Law and Order. And I wanted like almost like a Great Gatsby, you know, Baz Luhrmann type like big set pieces and like kind of let the mystery play out. And I felt like it felt more claustrophobic than I was expecting. And because, like we mentioned before, Poirot is flawed in this film because he doesn't solve Book's murder. He's not in control of anything at this point. Or at least not that we know. At least Ustinov in the original film, like he's asking questions and he's like, did you see that race? Like that guy's trying to steal that money. Like a lot of these reveals are happening, giving more reason why these people are doing the crimes. And that's not... Like, this movie is trying to keep it so mysterious that you don't know what you're supposed to be skeptical of.
You're not even exactly sure what you're supposed to be observing or, like, am I supposed to be rooting for this? Or am I just, what's happening exactly?
Right. And like even going back to Jackie, Emma Mackey's character, she's played so empathetically. Like you feel for her. You're not upset that she's upset. Like Mia Farrow going 1, 2, 3, 4. Like that's crazy. like you're like that person. Needs some help. But like this Jackie is like what any of us would do.
Yeah.
Fuck them. You believe it? Fuck them. And like she's like playing it cool. Yeah, she's got a gun, but for the most part, she's kind of calm and collected. Mm-hmm. And Poirot, because he's being humanized and being empathetic throughout the film, is like, I see you, little bud. I understand you. I once had a love. Like, you're feeling for these two characters. And like, do you really give a shit if Armie Hammer gets shot? I don't. Like, I don't really give a shit. Like, when Simon Doyle, Simon McCorkin, like, the high drama, man. I just never felt this movie just, like, went there. And I don't know why.
Yeah.
You know? Orient Express went there.
Yeah, it did. It went there, and Murder on the Orient Express, just, like, on an emotional level, went there, too.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, I didn't feel it with either Death on the Nile films.
Right.
But Kenneth Branagh, you kind of expected, like, he did it in the first film.
Right.
We'll go there the second film.
Right.
Didn't quite go there.
Yeah, I just felt like the way Murder on Orient Express is shot, I think it is an easier story to tell.
Right.
I think, but those motivations come across really easily. You're immediately suspicious of everyone. You're just not suspicious of people in this film. Like, okay, the murder happened. I assume her girl's going to figure it out. I don't know what's going on, but we'll get there. And, like, Orient Express felt like, what the hell is happening? It felt like you want to solve this mystery because, like, it's troubling to you. But I think maybe it's either how little time we spent with Gal Gadot, how little time we spent with Armie Hammer. Okay, when we solve it, I guess we'll solve it. I wasn't too worried about where it was going, and I felt like the original somehow pulled that off a little bit better.
Yeah.
Even with, there's a lot of scenery being chewed.
Yeah, but, it's fun.
Mm-hmm. It also has the cast to do that. You know,
Right.
Betty Davis, Angela Lansbury, George Kennedy. Like, you have the cast of, like, what, are you going to tell Betty Davis to wrap it up? You know, like, I don't know. I felt like it really worked. Yeah, and even the legibility with the murders and stuff like that, like, it's cheesy, but, like, there were some scenes in a remake where I was trying to, like, really read what was happening with the camera and stuff like that. And I don't know, because they try to do this sort of action-esque stuff like you had in Orient Express when, like, they're chasing that one guy who's like, he becomes a ninja somehow. They can't show you anything in this film, so, like, there's action without visuals.
Right, yeah.
It's kind of hard to follow sometimes.
Yeah. Also, that's another thing that the remake doesn't really do. The original, like, when Hercule Poirot is accusing everybody, again, it's a little cheesy and outdated, but you see the whole scene play out.
Right.
You committed the murder because this is what happened exactly. And then you're following his narration, but you're actually seeing it happen. Like, that person's really...
It's like Clue.
Yeah.
It's like Clue.
Dude, that's exactly what I got the vibe from. It's exactly like the movie Clue. Like, that's how it could have happened, but here's what happened also could have happened. Yeah. So, yeah, you do get these fun little scenarios where it's like, again, let's raise suspicion for everybody. Everybody is a suspect. This is why. Because this is Hercule Poirot, the world's greatest detective, explain to you why this person be the murderer. And now they're doing it for this person. And you're seeing it. You're hearing him say it. It really reinforces that everybody is a suspect.
And, you know, I think they did that in Branagh's Orient Express. I think there were scenes where they, like, play out those scenarios. And that doesn't happen here. It's just such an effective tool because I see you doing it. I don't even have to imagine it. I see you doing it. So whether you did it or not.
Visual medium.
Right. It is a visual medium. is it cheesy? No, but like it can be done well. Like we mentioned Clue, which is a fun, good film with like 4 fucking endings. So like,
Actually, when that came out, it was a different ending
every theater. Yeah,
yeah, so cool.
You can't do that anymore. You can't do that anymore.
People would be pissed.
Oh yeah, they would be. Like 3 endings of Ghostbusters. But I just love. I love that I saw Angela Lansbury.
Yeah, it's great,
right?
Because this is like, I don't know if I could buy the drunk doing it just because he says it, but when you see it,
right?
Wow, what a difference! It makes all the world's difference actually seeing it happen. It's amazing.
And you keep getting the knee shot.
Yes,
you get the knee shot from different players.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
Good, so good. I don't know, and even like when you do those playbacks, and then those characters get murdered, even more so, you're like, what is going on? I think they were trying to be too mysterious in the remake, and it actually hurt the mystery. It's like, I didn't buy anybody.
Yeah.
Like, anybody. Everyone can't be innocent.
Right.
And I have to at least believe someone did it. Like,
well, here, take it from our perspectives. Mm-hmm. We've read the books, right? So we knew how the murder was going to happen. Sure. Even if they were going to play against expectations, like, well, we're actually going to do something different. Like, they could have done that where, like, the reader would be like, when Book was accused, I was like, they're not going to make him the murderer, are they? Right? So that was a great way of making him seem like he could have been the murderer. But it's like, we only did it for one character, and it's the only character that I'm, like, really because he was in the first film. Like, if we had done more of that, where he's just, like, flat out accusing them like that, but it just never happened.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're making a good point. And the remake had the benefit of moving things around. Like, if you're going to switch characters up or consolidate, it does give you some more freedom to play with the story. And I thought they would do that, like you mentioned, when the boot stuff started happening. It was like, okay, there could be some difference here.
Yeah, maybe he was involved somehow. We don't know. And they're putting their own twist on it, which, if you do it well, I can go for that ride.
Right. But, they never asked you to go for that ride.
No.
And it is what it is. So I guess kind of like getting into the film. Is there anything else that you want to talk about from like an action perspective? Because I guess we can kind of start wrapping up the mystery and I guess moving along the story, as it were, because we have all of our players.
I'm trying to think of anything. Nothing's really coming up, or nothing really stands out that like one film did that the other didn't do. I forgot about the kind of the story, like the accusations. Like I forgot about that, so I'm glad we talked about that.
Oh yeah. I guess one of the only other differences, I guess technically you could talk about another character in the original film. John Finch plays James Ferguson, who's an outspoken communist and who resented Lynette's wealth, who has a lot of scenes like we were talking about, which are like, people like that shouldn't be
deserves a bullet.
Yeah,
like he
should be wiped out. Like that character is in the books, kind of superfluous. So I understand the remake removing him and kind of like consolidating and stuff. But again, another plausible actor, and I think because this remake has consolidated, there's less plausible actors, and that's ultimately a problem. So I think that's the definition of what we were just discussing, is that it's not all of you.
No,
and there's not many of you. I guess the genius of Agatha Christie's story here is that she basically takes the two most obvious players off the field.
Right.
Immediately. And it's like, it forces you, even though your brain is saying, it's these two. It's gotta be, right? Agatha Christie like distracts you away to all these like side and kind of interesting characters. And it's really effective, and it's really effective in the original film.
Yes.
When they do it.
Yes.
So in both films, Jackie and Simon get into an argument at dinner, and Jackie presumably shoots Simon in the knee because
I'll kill you first!
Jackie!
because Simon is shot in the knee and is being assisted by the doctor and another character in the film, the entire time Jackie is being watched by Mrs. Bowers and I believe and sometimes I think the maid. It doesn't really matter, but both of these characters have an alibi,
Right.
which leads us to chase down all these other people, including Wyndham Shum, who shouldn't be there.
Plus, don't forget the J.
Oh yes,
Above Lynette's head and blood,
which is preposterous. Yeah, right next. So yeah, after Simon gets shot, that's right. Is discovered that Lynette Ridgway was killed, and no one knows who did it. And there's a J, like Jackie, above her head in blood.
Like she wrote it in her own blood after she got shot in the head.
Yes. It was Jackie.
Well, it was obviously so preposterous that it was to draw attention away from the fact it couldn't possibly be Jackie,
right?
Because this is impossible for somebody to write something after being shot in the head. So obviously the murderer tried to frame Jackie, so it immediately is supposed to clear her.
Mm-hmm. Right. So I think that I think that that's effective when you have all these actors who you're expecting.
Right.
It was hard to go there in this remake.
Yeah. I think you nailed it. Like, we know it's these two people, but the original does a great job of throwing suspicion to everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
Remake, we know it's these two people, don't really do a great job of throwing suspicion to everybody else.
Right. And I think even scenes like when the maid comes in and she's like, well, if I did see it, I think this remake, if you were going down that pathway, I think you're picking up on that language more so than you may have in the book. Because, I don't know. There's just the way that her and Armie Hammer interacted in that scene, like it did seem like Armie Hammer was like actually encouraging or kind of helping his character out. And again, I read the book, so maybe again that's biased, but like that didn't feel like the misdirection that it felt like in the other films either. So after the maid basically blackmails Simon Doyle in front of Colonel Race or Book and or Poirot, after that happens, the maid gets murdered.
In the original, it was the Angela Lansbury's character, wasn't it? Because she gets killed.
Both of them get killed because the maid is holding the.
Well, the maid gets killed, but I think in the original film, Angela Lansbury is the witness to that murder, and then the remake, Book was the witness to that murder.
Okay. Yeah. So as the maid gets murdered for basically like bribing.
Extortion.
Yeah.
I like it because the X.
Mm-hmm.
That's Bender from Futurama. Blackmail or extortion. I like it because of the X. It's a terrible John DiMaggio.
Yeah, nice DiMaggio. I was gonna say, yeah. That's pretty good. And yeah, you're right. From there, that's when the movies branch out because who witnesses the maid's murder?
Yeah.
Angela Lansbury. Mm-hmm. Who we get another fun, slurred, drunk line.
I know who did
it. I wrote down the book that Lynette Doyle was suing Angela Lansbury. She wrote a romance novel called Passion Under the Persimmon Trees.
Under the what? Like
Persimmon Trees. Passion Under the Persimmon Trees was the book that Lynette Ridgway was suing Angela Lansbury's character for libel in the film.
Okay.
So that's an Easter egg for the real nerds. But yeah, see, having it be the drunk works.
Yeah.
The drunk tells long stories. Is collateral damage, and actually in the film and the book frees another character. Like another character's been watching this woman for years,
right? Yeah.
Trying to hide the secret that she's drunk, not living her own life.
Mm-hmm.
So this is it messed up for people to die? Sure, but this is kind of an expendable character.
Yeah,
that gives us the benefit of letting someone else have
Yeah.
a story.
She's able to move on with her life, and she's actually able to find love. So there is a love story in that original.
Well,
there you go. There's one
Nice.
love arc.
Well played, sir. You can find more. That's the mystery. Like, when it's Book, like we mentioned,
This character that we loved.
not so good. Not so
No.
good. So.
You can make a loved character expendable. Just don't shit on them 20 minutes leading up to their death.
Or, like you mentioned, give him the chance to redeem himself. Or maybe Poirot makes an assumption and Book's like, nah, you got it wrong.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, actually, I stole the necklace because it was going to save Puffy Orphanage. You know, like, you got to make this guy fun, dude.
Because Poirot does have that arc, and it easily could have been he was wrong. And that's why he...
Because he's been wrong.
Yeah.
And I think that there was space for it to go that way. And maybe the story was about trusting people.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Trusting a romantic partner. Trusting yourself to move on. Trusting your friend. Or accusing them of murder. Watch them get murdered and then kind of solve a mystery and let two other people get murdered.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. You're right.
I don't know about you, Dan. I believe in the heart of the cards. I believe in the power of friendship, all the Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime tropes. We didn't trust the power of friendship. It got our friend killed. And now we're like, that's it. Like in the remake, that's where they drew a hard line. They're like, you killed Book, everyone
Everybody's in trouble. Go in that room right now because I'm going to tell you who the murderer is.
Yep, I figured it out because that was the last guy I expected, which leads the only people. And cool. Like the movie's starting to get to like its sort of climactic end at the expense of Book, and it's just I don't know, man. Like where do you go from there? It's just kind of a downer.
It's very much a downer. It's not kinda. It is a downer. No, it's rough, and like I already talked about it ad nauseum. But like, yeah, didn't agree with it, and it should have just been another side character. Or don't shit on him.
I know. So once in the remake, once they kill Book, everyone's in the dining hall. Poirot gives one of his Hercule Poirot speeches. It is I, Hercule. I know these things, and he's like, it was Simon, and it was Jackie.
Yay!
Yep. Simon didn't get shot in the leg.
It was a blank.
It was blank. A real bullet or whatever went into a piece of wood next to him. Doesn't matter. Well, in the remake, it is a blank.
The remake's a blank. Oh yeah, in the original, she missed.
In the original, which is kind of source material, but I do agree with that update. It's a little bit smarter.
Yeah. I can't trust your aim. You better put a blank in there.
Yeah. Simon Doyle wasn't shot, which, while everyone was panicking because they thought he was shot and trying to get help, gave him enough time to run downstairs, shoot Jackie in the head, run back.
No, Lynette.
Thank you. Gave him enough time to run downstairs, shoot Lynette in the head, get back where he was, shoot himself in the leg. Ah! And then ultimately, that gave him his alibi for killing that gave him his alibi for killing Lynette. It gave Jackie...
Jackie has an alibi because after she shot Simon the first time, someone was always with her. So, and we saw Jackie was in that bar area, I guess, let's say.
Right.
Since Lynette went to bed. So she was never by herself. She was completely covered from that.
And, in this film, actually, I will say this is where Emma McKay's portrayal comes back into play because she's the brains of this plan. Yeah. And that tracks.
Yeah, I was like, okay, of course it couldn't be Armie Hammer. It has to be her.
Armie Hammer is just a beautiful idiot. That's what he's basically supposed to be. And yeah, Emma McKay, the way that she gives up the game, she's like, figured out Poirot, the way that she is the brains, and the way that she shoots them at the end is pretty well done, actually. Yeah. I think that's one of the stronger points of the movie, how it kind of wraps up. shoots through them both with a 22.
Yeah, he like embraces her, and then she like shoots him through the back, and also bullet goes through her.
Pretty nice, you know?
Yeah.
It's not quite dancing, but
You know what I also like about it? Because they had mentioned Mark Antony and Cleopatra a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And, you know, as all romantic tragedies end, they also ended with a murder-suicide.
Yeah. Yeah. I thought that was definitely one of the stronger
absolutely, yeah.
in the film. And it got a lot of payoff for who I think, Emma McKay or Mackey, she was
great.
Really, really good.
So solid in that role.
Like, really good in the movie. And I will say, like I mentioned, Army, I felt like, didn't blow your socks off, but I felt like he was a good utility player. And, you know, it was good. We start to now do repair work for Hercule Poirot in this scene. And we shouldn't have to do repair work because, like, he's supposed to be amazing. And, I don't know, they really brought him down to earth a bit, I think, to try to build him back up as a more empathetic Poirot, which could be effective, but I think, like you mentioned, I think that love story takes a lot away from the main point of the film. But
because that's not the end of the remake.
It's not. It's not. It keeps going.
It's not.
It's not. Hercule Poirot goes to a jazz club, and he has shaved his mustache. So you see the scars from when he got kind of blown up.
Want to know how I got these scars?
There I was leading my troop in World War I. So we see that he's ready to move on from his fiancée. It's been decades at this point, but he's ready. He's watching Mrs. Otterborn sing at a rehearsal. He's at the table, and it's actually a really nice scene because the scene right before that, Mrs. Otterborn was like, "Yo, man, you messed up.
Yeah.
Like, you're broken, bro. Like, this ain't gonna work." And I guess it gives us this feeling that perhaps it can work out.
Yeah.
Perhaps Hercule Poirot can find love. So
maybe he can move on from that, you know, his past love, from Catherine.
Mm-hmm. I think I like that Hercule Poirot is fleshed out.
Yeah.
I kind of think it's an ending where I can get behind this sort of Poirot in love.
Yeah.
But I think things suffered to get there.
No, it's exactly it. I do like the ending because it shows character growth, character development. He's willing to move on. He's getting rid of that mustache, that signature mustache, and he's looking for love. And it's like the way it ends too. Like, he doesn't interact with her.
Right.
He just sits in the crowd and he's just kind of patiently just watching her. And you know, it's very subtle, very underplayed, and I like it. What they did. But again, it did take away from the murder mystery.
Right. Because after he solves the murder mystery, we then kind of get this sort of send-off with everybody. Like, they're coming off the boat. It's like, well, I guess you two fix your life, and now
you're good. Oh, you guys hate me because of Book. Okay.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry about Book. You won't forgive me because I didn't solve it. All right. And yeah, like, this movie insists on wrapping up these sort of motivations for everyone in a way that I think is kind of unnecessary, right? Like, I think the original just, whoa, that's what happened, and then, you know, they're done. They're done. I think that, like I said, the original just has the benefit of playing their ensemble cast to the source material, and most people that are trying to watch Death on the Nile are likely doing it because of the source material, and now they're seeing that played out sort of close to as written. The remake takes its own interpretation and really is a device to flesh out Poirot. And if you like that, then cool. If you were more interested in Death on the Nile, you might be a little disappointed.
Right. No. Couldn't say it better myself. Anything else we need to discuss?
No, I put the musicians in, but I don't remember.
I don't
remember any of it.
I mean, the sexy jazz.
I remember that. I don't know what the song was.
I don't know either, but people.
I don't think my ears were working anymore. I was just locked in. It's like when you see Zoe Kravitz come on screen.
Was Batman in the movie?
The detective. No, I think that both films from a set design perspective, I thought the original, like you said, kind of went hands on.
Yeah,
Which is-
went up the pyramid. That's pretty cool.
Which is cool. The parts that I like about the remake, even with the bad green screen, but like, I love the book with the kite picture. Like, it's so goofy and out of place, but like, I think that this movie, when it's playing in that fun space and like doing the big Cleopatra, whatever that was, like that stuff was out there and fun. And I think I wish they did more of that, because those were the moments where I started liking the movie when it comes to the set.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, the remake, it looks good, but it's not as grand as I thought it would be.
No. Fair point.
Mm-hmm. So I guess at this point, really, we could just ask, Dan, do you think that this remake should exist?
All right. So I saw the remake first, like I said. I thought it was fine. So I was like, all right, I should be fine with this verdict. And then I don't remember what I read in the book. Then watching the original, like I said, a lot of cheesy things happened in that original, but they did a really good job of like, oh yeah, this is a murder mystery, by the way. So while enjoying this thing, you should be trying to figure out which one of these people is the murderer.
Correct.
Because at the end of the day, that's what these Agatha Christie books are about, right? So it's cheesy. It's great over the top acting, but I really grew to like that original film.
Yeah.
Even though it's longer, and I hate when these movies are longer, but that original film is longer. But I think it works to the film's strength, because I'm able to follow more of the suspects and make it plausible that everybody's a suspect. I did not like Poirot. He's probably the weakest thing in that original film, and unfortunately, you just have to kind of take it, because that's what we got. Albert Finney coming back, maybe just put him back, even if he doesn't need all the prosthetics. But he would have been a much better Poirot. Easily the weakest link in that first film. But this is about the remake, and it looked great, even though it might not have been so grandiose. I did like some of the exterior shots of Egypt.
Oh yeah,
thought that was great. I did not like the love stories. I did not like the love stories at all. I definitely didn't like what happened to Book. I think he got done dirty pretty bad, and he did not deserve that ending. And we didn't have to follow that whole story about like, oh, this is my mom and she doesn't like you, but it's okay, we're gonna get married anyway. But no, I'm a thief and I'm a liar and I'm dead, so it doesn't matter. I wasn't the killer anyway. So this is a tough one. I wasn't sure. I was really on the fence when I came here. And it was like, I think they might do another movie. So it's like, do I just say I'm good because I do want to see the next one if they do another one? But, after seeing that original and really thinking about it and discussing it with you, what they did and how they did it, I don't think this version of the Death on the Nile should exist. Because we really just strayed away from that source material way too much. You can have different emotional beats about love and all that stuff. We did it in the original, or the one that came out in 2018 or so. And, just talking with you made me realize, what was I watching the whole time, man? It definitely didn't feel like a murder mystery. As cheesy as the original is, it has that Clue feel, which I dig. I dig that stuff, man. Yeah. So it just is on the other side of should existing for me. Maybe if you talk to me and you really liked it, maybe you can convince me. I'll be on the other side of the fence. But after discussing this with you right now in this moment, I'm going to say that version shouldn't exist. Yeah.
I think you're right about the original film. The Clue elements, I did sort of 2 pass-bys on the film, and I think I was a little distracted the first time because I just kind of wanted to get it done. But we sort of pushed back our filming, and it let me go back and look at it again. And the character work really jumped out at me the second time. I was more locked in Mia Farrow's performance. Simon McCorkindale was a lot of fun for me.
Love it.
He really looked like, for some reason, I looked at him and I was like, yeah, that's Simon Doyle.
No, yeah. It's immediately we would imagine, okay, she's going to steal that guy from her.
Yep.
Okay, I can see that.
Yep. And they did the cheesy newspaper thing again.
Hey, you gotta love it.
It's good stuff. So instead of Simon and Jackie, now it's Simon and Lynette, and that was a fun little turn. Yeah, Poirot was the weakest part of that film. and it actually made you wish they like let David Niven off the chain a little bit because like
That's true.
he would have been able to handle it, even though he doesn't look like Poirot.
No, he's
Fuck
way
it,
too
tell
thin.
Me,
but
tell me he's Poirot. He's Poirot.
yeah, I'll go for it.
I'll just be like, oh, I didn't like that he was thin. Like, but he's more interesting.
Yeah.
Like Ustinov grew on me as the film got along, but it really was just the interrogations, and I think a lot of that was the other actors coming back in too. You know, like Lansbury getting accused is a scene. So, like you said, the original, we're not really talking about that, but those, I would say the Poirot was the biggest flaw there as well. And some of the legibility, like when The Rock comes down, I thought that was really like super cheesy, and I didn't like that. But overall, good film. In the remake, I like Gal Gadot, but I didn't really buy her as an American heiress. You know, like I didn't. I just felt like she doesn't have that like over the top passion in her acting. She's generally flat, which isn't like a real big dig, but like she doesn't have this like crazy range that she plays in. Yeah. And I just thought that she didn't meet the moment in a way that like Emma Mackey did. And I like, man, more of that. When Letitia Wright really got going, more of that. And I think these character actors, like Russell Brand being one of the biggest examples, didn't get to character act. And it's like, well, what was the point? I like really don't know why they cast Russell Brand other than like maybe someone likes him and was like, hey, he can do serious too. But okay, serious isn't really that. Comedy's harder on screen. Yeah. So I don't know. I just felt like everyone was underutilized. I like the Kenneth Branagh arc. It's my favorite part of the film, but that's not why I went to see Death on the Nile.
Right.
so I was very impressed that like Kenneth Branagh got to, you know, as a director, make his character more interesting than it should be. But it was at the expense of a lot of other characters. I don't know what the hell was happening with Armie Hammer and the delay. I don't think that maybe the delay probably helped the film, I think, especially in the box office with COVID and all that stuff. But it's not that great of an interpretation of Death on the Nile. So it probably shouldn't exist, even though it's a fine film. Yeah. If you like it, I get it. I like a lot of the actors that are in it. I like what Book did until they kind of shit on him. I like what Kenneth Branagh did throughout the film. I thought the Miss Otterborn romance was fun and interesting. It just took away from the main story. And yeah, this movie probably shouldn't exist. At least not the way they did it.
Fair enough. Wow. I'm really surprised by that. Like, dude, I came here today, like, I'm surprised by your reaction. I'm surprised by my verdict, too. I thought I'd be okay with it because the Murder on the Orient
You moved me with Book, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
I just kind of like, yeah, I like Book. And then you were like, look what they did to my boy.
I see how they massacred my boy. Yeah, seriously. No, I thought the Murder on the Orient Express had built enough goodwill where I was going to be like, yeah. And I am kind of curious to see like where Poirot's arc goes. Right. Because they are most likely making a third film. Probably. So I'll watch that. But like at the end of the day, you know, comparing this to the source material and like just comparing it to that original movie, which did the murder mystery thing much better. It's just a much more fun film. Clue! Oh my god!
It is Clue.
So I was like, yeah, when we started talking about Book, I was like, wait a minute. I think what was that? What I was gonna think. So it's really funny that we both kind of flipped.
When you said the Book thing, that put me over the top. And like I said, I'm glad I gave the original another pass through because I got a lot more appreciation for it watching it again. Maybe that would happen if I watched the remake again, but honestly, I think I watched it in the best conditions I was going to. Having recently read the book, having been at a theater with like a glass of wine and stuff like that, like I was kind of locked in. Yeah. A theater's a theater. I don't know if I can watch a film as intended.
Yeah, exactly.
Any other way, right? So
I think I watched it at the Menlo Park, the
nice.
AMC Dine
Yeah,
Theater.
yeah.
That's where I watched
Right there.
Nice. Because you get a beer.
Get a beer, watch a movie. I just my original rationale to see it was I knew in my head, I was like, this is gonna look fucking great. It's gonna be just a big showing, and it didn't quite match the expectations that I wanted.
Yeah, same.
And the mystery element wasn't strong enough to account for that. Because like if it looked amazing and it had the same plot, I'd probably be like fanboying about it.
Yeah,
you know, but it looked like kind of okay. You know, it was a little lacking. Even the boat, I was like, this is the boat. I thought it was gonna be bigger, and it didn't. It felt like a smaller film versus like Murder on the Orient Express, which I didn't see that coming. And like watching, I was like, "This is amazing."
Yeah, that emotional beat.
The train looks sick too.
Yeah, the train looked amazing. But like, you have that emotional beat in Murder in the Orient Express, like when Michelle Pfeiffer's character is pretty much coming clean and just like explaining like why everybody did the murder, and I was just like, what is happening? I didn't expect to feel like this way because I read the book, I knew it was coming, and then to surprise me like that, I was so happy. And I was gonna say, you could have that easily in Death of the Nile. There's so many love stories. You could really make like Jackie and Simon these tragic characters who just like really took love in a sick and twisted direction just to get money.
Like the way they filmed the end, it played that way, like the way it was filmed, but everything in between didn't feel that way. Because I thought when they had that final sort of shooting scene, I was like, that is, it's a little poetic the way it was filmed.
Especially, like I said, the foreshadowing with Andy and Cleopatra, the whole remake, which I don't think they were mentioned at all in the original film.
No.
So I like that. I like that stuff. There's some good stuff in that remake.
But even like the Mia Farrow, like that scene is way cheesier and stupider in the original. Like, bang, bang. Like it looks bad versus the remake, but they did a lot of other things better.
Yeah, much better.
I think the main thing was the cast was used more efficiently.
Yeah,
that's
got more out of them, and just like I said, did a great job of raising the suspicion level.
Yep.
I could easily believe everybody could be a suspect, and like had good motivation. So
I know better. I was like looking at the maid, like it was you. And it was fun. Like we mentioned, it was fun seeing those characters do it. Because like you know what happens in the book, but like you get to see what if the other characters did it.
Yeah.
You know, like that's kind of fun too.
That is really fun.
Oh well, you know, like you said, if they do a third one, I'm definitely gonna go see it. I'm gonna read whatever book it's attached to. But I hope that the next time they're able to really use that sort of Hollywood budget and make it big. Because Orient Express, the story lends itself to everyone kind of being the hero by then, which is nice. This story, I think you're right. They could have found a way to make more people the hero. And I don't know, like that send off of the boat felt like a low point, actually. Like he solved the mystery and it felt like a low point.
It was an empty victory because he lost his like best friend.
Right. That's a great point. Great point. So yeah, it was just riding that wave, and then you have this almost bittersweet ending, which gives you some hope. And hopefully, if they do a third film, you get to ride that hope wave and not have to go into the lows.
Yeah, because like the way that remake ends, it does feel like our hero lost.
Yeah, it does. It does. It's like which one? Dark Knight Returns or whatever.
Rises.
Yeah, felt a little like the Dark Knight Rises. Like it kind of worked out, but it didn't feel like a high point in the series. But I don't know. Interesting film, but just didn't hit all the notes it needed to.
Yeah, it didn't hit all the notes it needed to. And then, you know, when you compare it to a movie that came out 40 plus years earlier, and then I feel like they did it better. Well, what are you doing? Come on.
Yeah.
Even like I watched the remake with Sam, and she was kind of came in while I was watching the original, and then like afterwards she was just like, you know what? I think the original's better. I was like, you're not wrong.
She's not wrong. Sam's not wrong. Not this time. Yeah, I just I don't know. There were some missed opportunities, and like they have built up a lot of goodwill with both of us. So for us to get to this conclusion means that there was something off. But whatever, there's more movies.
It's tough, I'm sure because that movie was supposed to come out much earlier. I'm sure COVID affected production heavily.
Had to,
and then that probably maybe changed the script. Oh, we can't even do that. So let's just do this instead.
Great point. Yeah, I mean that could be a big factor because when I'm sitting here saying it should be bigger, when you really think about it, the cast is basically stripped down to the suspects for a majority of the film. There's not a lot of other players. And even the original film, there's some interesting portrayals, but there's people about the ship.
Yes.
And this felt, like I said earlier, this felt a little claustrophobic because a lot of it is these sort of, you're talking, I'm talking, cameras over here, and maybe that is a COVID result with people not in the same place, not actually talking to each other. Could affect the performance.
Yeah.
So I'll give them that. And they had a lot of problems with controversies between Armie Hammer, who I don't know, he became a cannibal or something like that. Letitia Wright got a little bit of heat for
anti-vax stuff.
Yeah, I think there was more to it as well, but those two jump out at me. And a film that I was pretty excited about just kind of kept getting pushed back and delayed.
Yeah, because it was supposed to come out early last year.
Right.
Or no, I'm sorry. It was 2021, but I think it might have been October or something.
Really?
Or definitely sometime in 2021. I don't know the exact number, but yeah, it was pushed back.
Interesting. I mean, funny enough, because I'm editing this episode now. I'm almost done actually, but funny enough, you look at something like Dune, how many times that got pushed back and what that did to other films too. A lot of movies that got pushed back. This one, the interpretation is sort of the controversies, but I'm sure a lot of it is just naturally moving back. But I think it actually helped this film to come out this year. I bet the box office did a little bit better.
Oh yeah,
than it would have last year.
Yeah, of course, because nobody's went to theaters last year.
Yeah, this movie, I don't think kind of dies on the vine because of the timing. And if they are doing another one, they get good enough numbers that you could go down that path again. Because I think if it came out last year, it would have been, dead in the water, like a lot of films.
Yeah. Fun fact: the remake was released on my birthday, February 11th. Hey.
Nice. Did you go on your birthday?
No.
It's I've had better birthdays than this. That's awesome.
All right, so that's what we thought about Death on the Nile. What did you guys think? Did you agree with us? Did you disagree with us? Did we miss something? We do that sometimes. Let us know in the comments. We love hearing from you guys. All right, Reggie. So, next episode.
Okay.
What I want to do is Ninja Turtles.
Wow.
We're going to do Ninja Turtles.
No. Ninja Turtles.
Yeah. Actually, guys, I'm going to tell you this. I already told Reggie this. We're doing Ninja Turtles because this is actually going to be my last episode, unfortunately. Yeah, it's a bit of a bummer. Time-wise, I got a second job, and it's just, I have no time these days. But hopefully Reggie continues on this series.
Absolutely. And if time ever allows and Dan wants to step back into the role, I mean, you're always... Dan Bulick is Retro versus Remake. I know you want your full name's over there.
Yeah, everybody knows why.
Just checking. Yeah, your Retro versus Remake, it's, I think I learned a lot about sort of producing and making different types of shows by working with you. A lot of times I work with comedians who have different levels of expertise, we'll put it that way. And working with you and the work you've done on Council Awards and stuff like that, it taught me a lot about making something on YouTube and trying to do it good. Good is important. And I think that we really hit a really cool stride with the show and have had some interesting conversations about movies. I'm sure we're not going to stop having conversations about movies. Sure. Whether it's on this platform or somewhere else, we'll do it. And I'll try to keep the name going strong.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'll be back for the Scarface episode.
Yeah. When we push it to the limit, you will be there. Has to happen. But yeah, anything like RoboCop, Ninja Turtles, and Scarface, you're You're involved, my friend.
Absolutely.
But man, thanks, dude.
No.
Yeah.
No, man. Thank you.
Yeah.
You're gonna keep going. You'll be fine.
Yep. I got someone in mind who probably step into your role. I think I'm going to become more of the analyst person at that point. But we'll see. We'll see. I mean, who knows? But we're going to definitely keep this going because I talked to people who were like, "Oh, I like you guys breaking this down." So can't let the community down, man.
Can't let the fans down,
And
man.
I'm sure this is not the last episode that you're going to be on.
Oh no, of course not.
No shot.
I definitely want to do some pop-ins.
Hell yeah.
Dude, oh, that. Also, I just keep throwing out movies. Judge Dredd, too.
Judge
I'm
Dredd.
gonna go for that one.
Yep. Judge Dredd. 100%. What's the one? Short Circuits too. You gotta.
It's getting a remake. Oh my god!
If they do Short Circuits, you're taking over the whole show. Yeah.
Even Mortal Kombat. We were talking
Mortal
about
Kombat.
Mortal Kombat. We definitely have shit
We
to say about that
gotta
one.
do that. Yeah. Okay. When your schedule is more opened up, that'll come. You won't know when that's gonna happen, but Mortal Kombat, yeah, has to.
Any Console Wars fan who's joined the stream knows what I have to say about Mortal Kombat.
Scorpion.
Cool.
That's awesome, man.
All right. Well, that pretty much concludes it for this episode. Thanks so much for listening. Thanks so much for watching. If you're listening on iTunes, if you can give us a 5-star review, greatly help the channel grow. If you're on YouTube, be sure to like, comment, subscribe. We love the comments and interacting with you guys. Reggie.
Yep. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook at Retro vs. Remake. Like you mentioned, Spotify, 5-star reviews, comments. Love it. We're definitely going to keep this ship going because this is a great concept, and we're gonna continue to watch films and talk about them. So, yeah, man, bittersweet. But we're not done. So, I'm Reggie Parker,
And I'm Dan Bielek. This has been another episode of
Retro
vs. Remake.